Hey, Pastor Ray, man, thank you, bro, for taking the time. Listen, man, the verdict just been reached, not guilty. I can't even front and act like I'm all right with it. I'm upset, man. I wanted to get you on Skype and get from a black man, a pastor, a preacher, a father perspective, man. Talk to me, bro. What you feeling?
Obviously, Rashad, man. But first of all, thanks for having me on for American Preachers.
Oh, no problem.
Brother, man, I tell you, I don't even have words right now because I have so many thoughts going through my head about this. And, in my mind, I was thinking it was a no-brainer. It's an open and shut case. Even in terms of the law, I know we have to do the whole no reasonable doubt piece. But I thought this was so open and shut that there would at least be manslaughter as a charge for George Zimmerman, where there would be 10 years or more. But when I think about this, I got my two nephews sitting here with me. I'm just coming back from our youth conference. And, tons of young people are receiving the Lord, young men like these guys making decisions to turn their lives around. And the first thought in my head when you mentioned this to me is, these guys making decisions to turn their lives around, but do they still have to live in fear? Because when I was them, I was explaining to them, I live in a nice house, educated, finished school, husband, father, preacher, all that, like you just said. But I'm only sitting here today is because I made good decisions. And it wasn't necessarily because I didn't have to go through some rough stuff. And when I think about this case with Trayvon, one decision ended his life in the wrong place at the wrong time. But now this ain't 1950. We have citizenship rights, mobility, where we can move, navigate throughout American society, go and live where we want, or can we? And when we look at this, it just takes my mind all the way back as if our lives are devalued so much so that here is a young man, in my vantage point and in my view as a black male, having been him and having to navigate my way through those kinds of experiences. At what point are we going to have to stop putting our head down when somebody else walks by us, if you understand what I'm saying? At what point are we going to be able to hold our heads up, communicate, and just simply operate as a man?
Yeah.
And that's how I'm dealing with this. And I got these two young guys here with me, and I'm just telling them, you got to make good decisions at certain moments, in certain places, at certain times. And it is just absolutely heartbreaking that in 2013, we could have something like this, in my mind, at least anyway, that is reminiscent of 1950. And I'm blown away.
Yeah. Let me ask the black. What does this say to the black man from America? I'm seeing on Twitter, on social media, a lot of people saying this means the black man's life don't mean anything. Individuals saying we're back in slavery time. How should the black man respond? How should he take this? Of this verdict from tonight?
I'm gonna tell you like the piece that I wrote, and that is this. When I was coming through school, I finished my bachelor's degree from the University of Maine, transferred from your alma mater, Virginia Union, and went from HBCU all the way to a predominantly white college and the most northernest part of the United States. And before I went, my mother and both my parents said these kinds of words to me. You're going to have to work twice as hard to get half as far. Yeah. Because of how the system of America is, and the fact that, the only reason that they think you there is so that you can play basketball. Yeah. But you're there so you go on assignment to get that degree. And so they would remind me that you have to work twice as hard to get half as far. They would say to me, you got to make good decisions when everybody else is deciding not to go to class. You got to go to class. You can't ever be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so I'm not going to go as far as to say it takes us all the way back to slavery. But there is a stream of thought that would simply say that it is reminiscent of the point that our lives are not as valuable, if you will, as other people's lives. I think that point is undeniable. Yeah. And although my sign beside us says, keep calm, carry on, I want to make sure that, brothers don't get out here in the street and start burning down our own neighborhoods and start having an LA, Watts type of experience and that sort of thing. What it should say to us is we have to be that much more conscious of our decisions that we make and the places that we go, because our lives have to be guarded. If ain't nobody else gonna guard our lives, we got to guard our lives.
Yeah.
And we got to make sure, my nephew's sitting here telling me about his shoes, his J's that he had, and he's in an environment where this guy approaches him about getting his shoes, and I'm telling him, sometimes you got to live to fight another day.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's quite unfortunate, in my opinion. Trayvon ain't doing nothing but saying, man, I ain't got to respond to you, and you ain't got to put your hands on me. You don't know me like that. And they end up into an altercation, a fight. He gets shot. Now he's dead. I sat here and told my daughter, Rashad, I said, the only reason why I'm here and that these guys sitting next to me have a chance to become me is so that they will make good decisions. And if it says anything to us, we as black men have got to become more conscious of the decisions that we make and the places that we frequent and the places that we go. That's just the bottom.
Yeah, Pastor Brett, it's different response than my last question. I'm seeing on Twitter and social media, Dr. Jamal Bryant, he tweeted something real strong. He said, tonight, riot in prayer, loot heaven for every ounce of grace available, burn self-hate to the ground. How should the church, how should blacks respond to what happened tonight?
We have to become vigilant in all three of those areas that Dr. Bryant just mentioned. Mm-hmm. Number one, we're going to have to govern ourselves, just like James Weldon Johnson's Black National Anthem closes out, lest we become drunk with the wine of the world that we forget thee. We have to remember that it is God that has brought us this far here in America. It is God who will keep us. It is God who will fight our battles. It is God who will protect us. Now, having said that, we now have got to look at what Dr. King said. Can we really be judged by the content of our own character? Now, I'm not suggesting that, there's an unrighteousness and an injustice that is done here in the verdict of this case. It is an absolute unrighteousness and an absolute injustice. Mm-hmm. That being said, we cannot afford to place ourselves in positions that seem questionable. And as the church, we've got to be taking these young guys like this. I'm just getting in from my youth conference tonight. What is it? Almost 11 o'clock?
Yeah.
It's 11 o'clock. I'm just getting home from 200-something kids in downtown Newport News, pumping and pouring into them to educate them not only on spirituality, but to make sure that we're not so heavily minded that we're not any earthly good. So we got to teach our boys how to navigate different environments, how to be able to speak, the cultural lingo of different languages. Mm-hmm. We've got to start doing that as the church, as well as the spiritual foundation and the building a relationship with Jesus Christ. We can no longer do either or. We got to do both and.
Yeah.
That's what we are today.
Yeah. Pastor Ray, bro, thank you for sharing with me, man, and your nephews, bro. Peace and blessings to him, man. Much success to him, bro, because tonight was a wake-up call, man, and an eye-opener, bro. But thank you for taking the time, man.
Absolutely, brother.
Thank you, bro.